worked day after day in silence. Months later, he finally shared it with a small circle of trusted people. Their reaction? Pure admiration. They were amazed at what he had accomplished, not just because the book was good, but because he had done it without seeking attention or validation. And when the book was published, it was a success, not because of any grand announcements, but because the work spoke for itself. Now, let me tell you about another friend of mine, someone who was equally passionate about writing. But instead of getting to work, he spent months talking about his plans. He'd call with updates, share outlines, and ask for opinions on every little detail. The more he talked, the less he wrote. And eventually, the project fizzled out. Why? Because he spent all his energy seeking approval instead of building momentum. There's a powerful lesson in these two stories. Action breeds confidence, while too much talking breeds hesitation. When you take consistent action, even in small doses, you prove to yourself that you're capable. You build a track record, a sense of accomplishment that fuels your progress. But when you talk too much, you get stuck in the realm of possibilities, what could be, what might be, without ever crossing the bridge to reality. Here's the thing. Some people worry that keeping their plans private makes them seem secretive or aloof. But here's the truth. Discretion isn't about shutting people out. It's about preserving your focus. It's about recognizing that your dreams are precious and that not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey. Think of it this way. When you're planting a garden, you don't invite the whole neighborhood to walk through the soil before the seeds have sprouted. You protect the ground, you water it carefully, and you wait until the first shoots appear. Only then do you invite others to admire the fruits of your labor. The same principle applies to your goals. By keeping them private, you're not being secretive, you're being strategic. You're giving yourself the space to grow, to learn, and to adapt without the pressure of external expectations. And when the time comes to share your success, it will be all the more powerful because it's backed by real results. So, here's a challenge for you. The next time you set a goal, resist the urge to announce it to the world. Instead, channel that energy into action. Write it down, make a plan, and take the first step, quietly, deliberately, and with full focus. Remember, the goal isn't to impress others with your intentions. It's to impress yourself with your accomplishments. There's something profoundly liberating about moving in silence. It frees you from the weight of external expectations and allows you to operate on your own terms. Think about it. When you announce your plans to the world, you're putting yourself under a spotlight. Suddenly, people are watching, waiting, and maybe even judging. That pressure can be stifling, especially in the early stages of a project when things are still uncertain and fluid. You see, success is rarely a straight line. It's a journey of trial and error, of taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And when you're under the public eye, those setbacks can feel magnified. Every misstep becomes a potential point of criticism, every delay a source of scrutiny. But when you keep your plans private, you give yourself the freedom to fail quietly, to learn from your mistakes without the added burden of outside opinions. This is why discretion isn't just a strategy. It's a gift you give to yourself. It's a way of creating a safe space where you can experiment, grow, and refine your ideas without distraction. And here's the beautiful thing. When you're not seeking approval or validation, you become more connected to your own instincts. You start to trust yourself more deeply, to rely on your own judgment rather than the opinions of others. I know what you're thinking. Isn't feedback important? Don't I need input from others to make my ideas better? And the answer is yes. Feedback is invaluable. But it has to come at the right time and from the right people. Not everyone is qualified to give you constructive input, and not every stage of your journey is the right time to seek it. Early on, when your vision is still taking shape, it's better to focus on the work itself. Once you've made progress, once you've built something tangible, that's the time to invite feedback from people you trust and respect. I once worked with a man who was incredibly gifted at spotting opportunities. He had a knack for seeing potential where others saw obstacles. But he had one fatal flaw. He couldn't stop talking about his ideas. Every time he came up with a new concept, he'd rush to share it with anyone who would listen. And what happened? More often than not, someone else would act on the idea before he did. He gave away his advantage by revealing his plans too soon. Contrast that with another businessman I knew, a quiet, unassuming fellow who rarely talked about what he was working on. He wasn't flashy or boastful, but he had a remarkable ability to execute. While others were busy talking, he was busy building. And when he unveiled his work, it was always impressive, well thought out, polished, and ready for the world to see. He didn't need to announce his intentions because his results spoke louder than words ever could. This brings us to another key principle. Results are your best advertisement. When you achieve something significant, people will take notice without you having to say a word. Your success will naturally attract attention, and that attention will be far more meaningful than anything you could have generated by talking about your plans prematurely. Think of it as a ripple effect. Your actions create waves that reach far and wide, touching people in ways that words never could. But there's another reason to keep your plans private, one that's often overlooked. It has to do with the power of focus. When you share your plans with others, you're not just giving away energy, you're also inviting distractions. People will start asking questions, offering suggestions, and sharing their own ideas, which can pull you in a dozen different directions. Before you know it, you've lost sight of your original goal, and your once clear vision has become muddled. Focus is one of the most precious resources you have. It's what allows you to channel your energy toward a single point, to cut through the noise and make real progress. And the best way to protect your focus is to limit the number of people who have access to your plans. The fewer voices you have in your ear, the easier it is to stay on track. What would it look like if you applied this principle to your own life? Imagine starting a new project, a business, a creative endeavor, a personal goal, and telling no one about it. Imagine working quietly, steadily, without seeking validation or approval. What might you accomplish in that space of silence? How much further could you go without the weight of outside expectations? This is the essence of what we're talking about today. The freedom to work on your own terms, the power to let your actions speak louder than your words, and the wisdom to protect your dreams until they're ready to be shared. It's not about being secretive or aloof. It's about being intentional. It's about recognizing that your energy, your focus, and your momentum are too valuable to waste on idle chatter. And when the time comes to reveal what you've been working on, when the results are there for all to see, you'll find that your success carries a weight, a substance that words alone could never convey. You'll have the satisfaction of knowing that you didn't just talk about your dreams, you made them a reality. So the idea of keeping your plans private isn't about withholding or hiding. It's about understanding the value of your energy and focus. It's about protecting the fragile beginnings of your dreams, nurturing them in silence until they're strong enough to stand on their own. It's about recognizing that action is always more powerful than words, and that results speak louder than any announcement ever could. When you choose to keep your plans to yourself, you're making a statement, not to the world, but to yourself. You're saying, I trust my ability to see this through. I don't need applause to get started, and I don't need permission to pursue my goals. That kind of confidence is rare, and it's incredibly powerful. It gives you the freedom to act without fear, to learn from your mistakes without judgment, and to grow at your own pace. And here's the beautiful part. When you succeed, you'll inspire others, not by what you said you were going to do, but by what you've actually done. Your actions will become a beacon, a reminder to others that real progress comes from focus, discipline, and quiet determination. You'll show them that it's not about how loudly you proclaim your intentions, It's about how steadfastly you pursue them. So, as you move forward from here, I want to challenge you to embrace this philosophy. The next time you set a goal, resist the urge to announce it to the world. Instead, write it down, make a plan, and get to work. Let your actions do the talking, and let your results be the proof. Trust that when the time is right, the world will notice. And when they do, it will be because you've earned it. Remember, success doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need a spotlight or a stage. It grows quietly, steadily, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. So guard your dreams, nurture your focus, and let your actions speak for themselves. That's the path to true success, and it's a path worth walking.